have Raphael Cohen with the International Jewish Anti-Zionist Network saying a few words.
Right. Greetings, everybody. As you heard, my name is Raphael Cohen. I'm here joining with you today as part of the International Jewish Anti-Zionist Network. Like all of you, like all of you, we are outraged and sickened by Israel's ongoing massacre of Palestinians in Gaza, and we condemn the callous disregard for Palestinian life unequivocally. We join in worldwide calls for an immediate end to Israeli air and ground attacks and the lifting of the long-time military and economic blockade on Gaza. Now, I'm here with you today as the grandson of Polish Jewish survivors of the Nazi Holocaust. My grandparents survived the height of Nazi repression, unlike the majority of their respective families, because they were hidden by a non-Jewish Pole alongside approximately 40 other Jews for over a year. An act of cross-cultural solidarity saved their lives. I work with IJAN and stand in solidarity with my Palestinian sisters and brothers because my family's history taught me in no uncertain terms, never again for anyone. I will not let my family's suffering or my ancestors' memory be misused as justification for Israel to commit parallel acts of brutality against the Palestinian people. I'm also the son of a former member of the IDF during the Six-Day War of 1967 and a former Haganah leader. For those who don't know, the Haganah was the precursor to the IDF. I tell you that to say that even those of us raised in pro-Israel households with a steady dose of Zionist mythology and prejudice against Palestinians have the capacity and the responsibility to unlearn those values and support the Palestinians' right to live. Right to live.
That's right.
While it's true that I've inherited the crimes of my parents' generation, the forced expulsion of over 700,000 Palestinians with the State of Israel's creation, the numerous massacres that accompanied it, the theft of Palestinian land that continues to this day, I and all Jews in similar situations also have the capacity and the responsibility to refuse to perpetuate those crimes. We must say we will not support Israel's desecration of Palestinian life, and we will not support the widespread dehumanization of Palestinians that has enabled Israel to act with impunity for decades. Of course, as people living in the U.S., we all have a responsibility to speak out against Israeli violence, as our government props up Israel's to the tune of $3 billion in military aid a year. That's your and my tax dollars going to the brutality we've borne witness to this month. But as Jews, we have a particular grievance against Israel, given that the state claims to enact its violence in our very name. After all, the descendant of a Palestinian family kicked off their land in 1948 has no right to return there today. But I, a Jew born and raised in the U.S., not only have the right to settle there, but would be compensated by the Israeli government to do so, as part of its attempt to ensure a Jewish majority in Israel. That fact alone, to say nothing of the baseless jailings of Palestinians, the checkpoints, the home demolitions, the fact that 93% of Israel's land can only be owned by Jews, points to the fundamentally racist, colonial, and apartheid nature of the state.
Yeah, that's right.
It is this reality and the fact that Israel carries out massacres of this month's nature to maintain this reality that Jews across the world, and especially here in the U.S., must publicly and vocally admonish.
That's right. That's right.
Accordingly, IJAN at this time calls on Jews everywhere to follow the appeal from Haidar Eid political activists commentator in Gaza, to besiege Israel consulates with protests, creative actions, pickets, and demonstrations, and to protest events that attempt to justify Israel's violence against the Palestinian people. We have begun to see an important uptick in Jewish solidarity this month. There was the 1,000-strong march in Tel Aviv yesterday in which Israelis demanded that their government stop its assault on Gaza. There are the 50-plus Israeli reservists who have refused to serve in this massacre, standing in strong opposition to their country's line. There was Jewish Voice for Peace's action in New York last week, in which about a dozen Jewish activists occupied and were arrested at the offices of Friends of the IDF, demanding that the organization stop supporting Israel's war crimes. And there was our own action last Sunday, organized in conjunction with AROC, the Arab Resource and Organizing Center, in which Bay Area Jews of conscience opposed a Zionist pro-war rally in San Francisco, with 7 of us interrupting the Israeli Consul General's horrifying speech at Temple Emmanuel, while dozens more supported the action with a rally outside. These are promising trends, but if we are to continue shifting U.S. public opinion, we must continue these actions, and not just in times of heightened crisis. In short, we need more Jews speaking out consistently against what Israel is doing in our name. To close, let me say IJAN stands with and honors the perseverance of Palestinian resistance and calls on civil society everywhere to hold Israel accountable for its recurrent crimes and demand an end to the occupation, colonization, and apartheid in Palestine. We urge everyone to fully support the Palestinian call for boycott, divestment, and sanctions against Israel.
Yeah.
And to reiterate, we call on Jewish people everywhere to support Palestinian self-determination and act in the Jewish tradition that has fought collective punishment, murder, and racism for centuries. Let Gaza live!
Let Gaza live!
Let Gaza live!